Mike was muted the whole time. We love it. We love to see it. Didn't miss much. Basically me just saying that the weather hates me right now, and so we're trying to get this stream going before the internet has, or before the storm has a chance to fully just fuck up the entire stream. That's the goal. But otherwise, we are going to start by touching on a little bit of the why Microsoft is a bit of an icky company. Genuinely, like, wanted to vomit when I started reading this particular article. That I did link one of these articles down below because I didn't get a ton of time to like read it. It dropped yesterday, and so we haven't really gotten to like fully read it, engage with it, hate everything about it. It's a whole time. But do you want to start off by saying, if you can, the link to the Creators for Palestine fundraiser is down below. They are trying to get to $1 million raised to like support the people of Palestine and people trying to get out. Just for full clarity, these people have, the people Creators for Palestine, they have no idea who I am. So whenever the goal of like hitting the goal and having creators all join together in the stream, I will not be there because they don't know me. They don't know me. So, but do of course want to share the link to that. That is linked down below. It should be the top link. We are going to talk about the why to boycott Microsoft, and I'm going to start off, frankly, with this anecdotal discussion of why Microsoft might have care for what cruel imperialistic desires the government might want. Partially because I could not find more information on this when I was researching it. So we're starting off with a pure anecdote, and we're also, despite how sadistic and how troubling my anecdote might be, it is not the worst thing we're going to be talking about on here. So the anecdote is that when I was in high school, granted that was like nearly 10 years ago, when I was in high school, Microsoft had a huge part in making the digital, like the computer-based standardized testings that we had to make. And I'm sure that was not something they did out of the kindness of their heart and did for free. On top of that, Microsoft created and like ran the program to do the standardized test. On top of that, my school had primarily Apple computers, had to refit the entire school with new Microsoft computers. It was a rich school, so they had the ability to do that. And again, I doubt Microsoft was just giving out computers out of the kindness of their hearts, so students had the ability to take the required standardized test. So yeah, it's possible that a government deal of sorts that would involve however much money you get for creating the test and having to have people buy all the computers that can actually run the test. That's probably lucrative. And you want to keep those relationships alive. That's just purely anecdotal why, if someone in government might pressure Microsoft to do the next thing, they might, but again, purely anecdotal. The thing that I came across that made me be like, oh, I'm like grossed. This is vile. This is vile. According to, and if we close down the thumbnail and open my raindrop, according to a journalist out of Palestine, the Mahmoud, I believe, they've said that Microsoft has been suspending accounts in the Gaza Strip, which when noting that that a lot of people have been able to get and garner the support that we've been seeing for Palestine through the internet, through social media, and through those types of accounts. This feels very gross. Now, the problem here is, granted, Microsoft doesn't own like a social media platform as far as I know. But that is like your entire computer you can no longer get into anymore because of something like this. If they had any documents with research, with discussion, anything like that on a Word account, on a Word cloud, that's gone. Like, if they had their fucking homework, like, this feels extremely vile, knowing how the internet has been a key factor in communicating and engaging with people on the topic of Palestine. And as we see here, there's like the idea that this might follow through also with like Google, which I know a lot of people use Google for sign-ins for stuff like that. That's absolutely horrifying. And what makes it even more like, oh, they would probably fucking do something like this, is, again, yesterday, this is the article. I've not gotten to really engage with it. Oh, it's dark mode now. I love that. I've not really gotten to engage with it much because it came out yesterday and I like haven't gotten to finish reading it. I haven't gotten to like do any more digging into this anymore, any more expanded research on the topic. But this article, and I did link this down below, is called A Marriage Made in Hell, an introduction to Microsoft's complicity in apartheid and genocide. And it is discussing how Microsoft has been developing technologies that have been bringing oppression into the 21st century kind of thing. Absolutely fucking vile. We're talking about facial recognition technology, which we've seen that be used. We've seen, this was a discussion in 2019, I believe, a discussion on how Microsoft was investing in a company that was making facial recognition technology that was helping to overly imprison Palestinians simply for being Palestinian. There's also part of this article is talking about the use of technology to hyper-identify. And so Palestinians in this region have to go through an absurd amount of checkpoints and check-ins just to travel around the country. And once you do that, then your information is put into a database. They run through the database to check out your name, your, like, I don't know if Social Security is specifically the term, but it'd be that, your address, your job, like all of this information the military is accessing at a second's fucking notice just because you wanted to go to the grocery store, just because you're trying to go to work. That has been technology Microsoft has been implementing, and further they've also been, movement obstacles is what it's referred to. They've also been just over surveillance of Palestinian people to help perpetuate and help maintain the apartheid system. Microsoft has had a big hand in. And then we also see Microsoft's upholding and creating tech to help maintain the prison systems that we now know are concentration camps. And in reference to this, and like part of the reason why I'm fucking sick is in reference to these camps and to these prisons, Microsoft News directly says digital transformation makes it possible to consider prison as a business. And that's fucking disgusting. And so again, that's as far as I got into this fucking horrific, terrible, terrible article. I highly recommend people check it out. I highly recommend people share it so we can all keep an eye out. Though that was not the purpose of this stream going into a lot of like the particular details. I really just wanted to give you an idea of why this is one of those companies we might want to start shifting away from. And my purpose today really is finding alternatives to Microsoft, because when I think of using alternatives to Microsoft or something like that, I grew up poor, and so I did not have Word. And I grew up in 2017, like through 2017, I did not have internet at home, so using the Word online didn't work, and that was not an option for me. And stuff like that is the reason why when I think of like, oh, look at alternatives to tech products, I've been doing that my whole life because I have not had access to a lot of these standard things my whole life. And so when I see that, I know what alternatives there are. Like, I know what alternatives there are. I know what alternatives I would prefer. But I realize that a lot of people probably have not actually been at that crossroads, have not actually had to confront a situation where they probably shouldn't use Word or Google. You shouldn't use Google either. Google also, in general, Google is also terrible with regards to the crossroads of the genocides, but Google is also, like, the AI shit that's going on, they prefer to be very hazy on what context in which your personal data is being used for AI. They will delete your account without, that's also like an issue to consider with cloud services. They can delete your account, delete all of your information without cause, without reason, and it's just fucking gone. So back up your things, actually. Back up your things. Like, aside from cloud, get like a hard drive and back it up. But that, like, I know and am used to thinking about using alternatives to a lot of the more common products. And so I wanted to take some time and like share some alternatives with people that can be used. Oh, I'm gonna have to open the thing up. But before we get on to that, if you like this video, like my videos in general, and want to help support me, there are options. There are options to help. I write books. So this is my series, The Queen of Thieves, A New Throne, and my romance. Hi, Nugget. Let me get Nugget. Maybe you'll help out. Nugget, help me plug. Okay, so there's The Queen of Thieves, A New Throne. You're so wet. Why are you this wet, dude? He plays in the water bowl. So Queen of Thieves, A New Throne, that is my YA spy series. Imani and Aaliyah's Fashion Bible is my new adult romance. This is my cat Nugget. He is a monster. I also have Patreon. Those are linked lower down below. But again, first link you're gonna see is Creators for Palestine, and then the link for that article I was telling you about, and bye Nugget. Then, like, just written down a lot of the apps I'm going to talk about, just so you can actually see what the name is in case pronunciation's weird or hearing is weird, stuff like that. But let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind, and like I've already mentioned it, Word. Let's talk about some alternatives to Word. There are a decent number out there. My recommendation is called Libre Office, and I'm going to have to actually... I thought I had like screenshots, but I just don't think there was like great screenshots anywhere of it. So we're just gonna open a new window so you can see, because this is again on my actual computer. This is explicit, just on here. This is hanging out. Libre Office. Yeah, it looks just like Word. It looks just like Word, it acts just like Word. It is a word processor at its very heart. It is very powerful. It has like a lot of the core processes. Why is it black? Why did my screen go black? There you go. It has like a lot of the core processes that you need. LibreOffice is also a full office suite, so there is going to be like a PowerPoint and Excel. All of that is going to be in like this. And it is, again, a program that you can download. You can also get a version of this that can be put on a flash drive and ran off of a flash drive. So that way, if you are like a student or someone who uses like multiple computers you don't own, then you can just have the full program and file, so that way all of your settings are there. You don't have to like switch between programs or worry about anything like that. So that is Libre Office. There are a lot of other alternatives. This one I mentioned because it's free and we like free and we can afford free. Yeah, Libre Office is also an open source program, which we will touch on that a little bit later. It's free. There's another big one. It's Libre Office is a branch off of it. It's called Open Office. That is another open source free writing program. It's just not been updated in a hot minute. The reason I have avoided a lot of other ones, like I used to use WPS Office, a lot of those are leaning really hard into AI, and like I said, we're trying to get us all away from that. That's also why Google Drive is not a recommendation. And aside from Google's own participation in capitalism and imperialism, it's great. We love it. Okay, so this is the main recommendation I have if you just need a word processor. I also have a recommendation in case you just want to have a little fun, in case you want to have a little fun while you're writing. It's called Obsidian. Obsidian is not a word processor. It writes in a form called Markdown. The good thing about that is, whereas if you're using a lot of different programs, the save, like, working document that you're working on in the app can be, sometimes it'll be like a actual document file, sometimes it'll be a first party file. So if that app were to disappear one day, it's gone. All of your work, you can't really access it because you needed the app to open it. Markdown is not like that. You can access it with anything that can open Markdown. And it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's also but it is not a word processor. It is not. I've seen people and like heard of a lot of people who will use this to write books and stuff like that. But it does not work in the docs format. I don't think you could even export it to the docs format. You could copy, control, paste to something very easily, and that would work fine. But it's not going to be able to do a lot of things. Like, you can't export to EPUB and PDF and all of that. I think you can export to PDF, but it's not as precise as a lot of other, like, specifically word processors are going to be. But it's so pretty and it's fun, and there's a lot of things you can do with Obsidian. So if you spend a lot of time in a word, like, and you need something that at its core can type, you can move it to, you have the ability to move it somewhere else, or you don't even need to have it be able to do those things a word processor can do. But you want to have like a little bit of fun, a little bit of customization. There's a lot of customization to this app. It is a little bit technical, but we'll also get into later on why having something a bit technical is something to potentially want, especially with regards to trying to step away from some of these bigger companies that suck. But that's Obsidian as an option. I love it. And I know a lot of other people do. There's so many tutorials, so many like people talking about all the plugins and the apps they use. Actually, really quick. Yeah, I'll talk about it now. Plugin I really like to use is called make.md. I really appreciate it because it helps to like keep down clutter. I can open like a page as a page. It's great. I can open a folder as a page without having to have like a second page. It's a whole thing. It's really nice. I really appreciate how it changes the workflow of Obsidian. And also, like, the creator of it is super active on their Discord, and like I was having an issue with it, and overnight all fixed. We love it. Moving on to, when talking about Word and Obsidian, or Libre Office and Obsidian word processors, syncing is a concern for a lot of people. Being able to access it in different spaces is always a thing that is like of importance, always a thing that people are going to be concerned about, because a lot of times you need to be able to access it in certain spaces, in multiple different spaces. That's why a lot of people prefer just a web program that you can log into as opposed to something on your device. And absolutely reasonable concerns. First and foremost thing to keep in mind with that, as well as with the options I'm going to recommend for like trying to help with syncing issues, is going to be backup everything on a, like, maybe have a second copy of it on the same like home computer, maybe have a second copy of it on a flash, on like a hard drive, like back everything up multiple places just in case. I use for syncing, to be able to sync between like my computer, tablet, phone, stuff like that, I use a program called Syncthing. It is a bit technical again, and it can be a bit futzy. It can be a little frustrating at times, but that is currently what has been working with me for a lot of really big files as well. Currently, the most recent issue I had was because, again, there was like a glitch in the plugin for Obsidian, and it caused like one folder to just keep infinitely creating within itself, and that was just causing a problem syncing, but only for one device. And so that was, but otherwise, you know, I again highly recommend always keeping a backup. I would use, if like an easy way to have, like if you have a second folder on your computer that you just want all your backups in, free file sync, which that is not currently in the thingy. Let me add that there to my list of things to keep in mind. But use free file sync, can help you just keep a second copy of like a folder or something like that on your computer, so that way you can easily access it and not have to worry at all. Next would be Resilio, which is essentially the same thing, but it is less technical. It's unclear what the payment structure is. It seems like there might be a free version, which is why I'm mentioning it, but they definitely make it more clear what the paid is. And I have heard that they like killed some community trust with the way they decided to roll out their pricing. It felt beta testers felt like they had kind of had the rug pulled out from under them when the program went from free to what they were testing out is now going to be paid. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, at the end of the day, physical storage, like your flash drive, using a flash drive, having a hard drive you don't mind moving around, taking around with you, like that's something we should also consider. I know that M.2 drives are very fast, very powerful, very high storage drives that are now able, like people have made like holders for them, so you can just connect them via USB to a computer and use them as a hard drive, or as an external hard drive, or as a flash drive. So that is something I'm looking into. But like physical storage to take things with you for the things and the work that you need portable is also something to consider. I would be remiss if in a discussion about like Office Suite programs, I did not mention an alternative for PDF work, mostly because like I can't, like, who likes Adobe? Who likes Adobe? It's tangential to the cause, and so we're just gonna bring that up now because I found one that I'm very happy with, that I'm super excited with. I have not used it much. I just know it has some like abilities that I've craved in my life, and the program is called PDF24, and there is a web version, so you don't have to have it downloaded. I have it downloaded on my computer as a program, but it can do so many things with a PDF. It's free as well. You can merge PDFs, split PDFs, you can edit PDFs, you can just use it as a PDF readers, you can annotate them. Like, there's so many things you can like actually do with PDFs. I can't express to you how much time I've spent fucking around with 1,000 different apps to try and get just to split a PDF. Why is splitting a PDF so hard? I love this one because you can visually split it. It'll show you a thumbnail of the pages and you'd be like, oh, you want to split between those 2 pages? Do it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I found this and I felt the need to share. Also, when talking, like, for me specifically as an author, I also wanted to keep in mind that authors, like, what word and writing software might authors want to use. I will have another video probably on my vlog channel, actually, since it's not relevant to any of this, anything particularly important. But I will do a video on my vlog channel about author tools that I use. But just to keep in mind and just to, like, keep a discussion, since at least for writing, this is relevant to writing tools and alternatives to word processors, I would recommend, I know, like I said before, a lot of people use Obsidian. A lot of people I've seen use Obsidian for different aspects of writing, and I would not mind it for drafting and for, like, early stage before I get to, like, beta readers kind of thing. And like I said, it's so pretty. There's so much organization. You can have multiple windows. You can have multiple tabs. We love it. We love it. Other option I recommend for, like, late stage work and editing and, like, getting to the final aspects of it, especially for getting to, like, publishing and actual, like, final formatting, I recommend Atticus. This is something that I use. It is a one-time purchase. Again, this one does cost money. It is a one-time purchase. It's so easy. It's just so easy. The main reason I wouldn't use it for drafting is that it is you can't have the 2 pages side by side, and I use that quite a lot when I am, like, updating edits and whatnot. It truly is just so easy. Like, I was working on Imani and Aaliyah, and I, like, wait, plug. I was working on Imani and Aaliyah, this one right there, and I just completely, like, I was like, oh shoot, I wanted to start making, like, an actual page for the themes in a book, and I forgot, and it was so easy to just add that page in, and it didn't ruin the rest of the book. I could not. I recommend Atticus. And then again, I would, for, like, maybe drafting and stuff, use Obsidian for those earlier stages. Again, keep in mind the, like, save backups. You might need to figure out things for syncing. I don't use Google, again, for syncing because of, like, data privacy as well. We're doing it. So those are some word writing options for authors. I know Scrivener is an option. I can't say I recommend Scrivener as an option, and that will be more in the other video. Up next, we are talking about alternatives to Microsoft Edge, the browser, and that is just my recommendation is Firefox. It is a more privacy-centered browser. My brain is saying that it may be open source, or at least it might have used to be. It is a non-profit. That's exciting. But it is for sure, it is far more privacy focused than either Edge or Google Chrome. I would also recommend, I didn't mention this before, but DuckDuckGo for a search engine is far more efficient, because similar with how Firefox does work with a lot of Google extensions, in case you have any extensions you like, they work with Firefox, but DuckDuckGo works with a lot of, like, when you're using a browser, there are a lot of, like, search hacks you can use, and those work with DuckDuckGo. Like, if you put the minus sign and the word, let me see if I can make this visible. We're gonna open Obsidian real quick. So if I were to go here and type minus hat, like that, no space between the minus or hat, maybe you can see that, maybe you can't, then in a search it should include all options that do not have the word hat in them. I've used browse or search engines like Ecosia, and which Ecosia is the one that helps plant trees with your searches, but it does not have functionalities like that. And when doing research, especially in the age of AI fucking garbage, that tends to help a lot. Being able to do that minus AI is a good one, stuff like that. But that is DuckDuckGo as a search engine, Firefox as a browser, both of which are available on your phones as well as your computers. There are other things I want to mention here is because a lot of people do use, I've seen a lot of people saying how they use text-to-speech within Edge for reading websites. I specifically found this in like a fanfic forum. Recommendations for that would be to use, like, if you are interested in like exporting to PDF or EPUB, you could use the text-to-speech in Moonplus Reader. There are a lot of apps like this. These are just ebook readers that you can find. I personally have Moonplus Reader. I believe I have the Pro version of it. I don't know what the difference is, but it's a really nice reader, very highly customizable. You can change the page color, you can change the font. Particularly with EPUBs, it's a lot more strict with PDFs, or at least it might be depending on the type of PDF. I've most recently been reading like one that's a like image PDF, so for sure that's going to be more strict. Though there are like, even if you have a PDF, you should be able to also change it to like a like convert it to EPUB, though those tend to be rough. But that would be rough anywhere, but you can just straight up read a PDF, straight up read EPUBs. You can take notes there, reading rulers, you can change the environment, you can use text-to-speech. That is an option. You can also use web clipper apps, which are basically just apps where you send the link, you save the link to the website within this app, and it will like keep the links from. That's actually what this top box has been. This top box has been a web clipper app. It is called raindrop.io. I am obsessed with it now. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this particular app doesn't have ingrained TTS, ingrained text-to-speech. If I need text-to-speech, I have to use my devices, which you can. Like, a lot of cell phones have text-to-speech within them to just read what's on your screen readers. This app does not have, like I said, ingrained text-to-speech. I know it is something that's being looked at potentially, but I stick with it because I don't know if you can see on this left hand, the organization of this app is phenomenal. You can have like infinitely nested folders. You can have emojis and pictures as to like signify what the folder is. It's just, I need that. If I'm going to be able to successfully use one of these like save it later apps, I need to be able to highly and meticulously organize my links and organize the pages that I'm saving. I need that. The other option, the meta rather, of save it later apps at the moment is Omnivore. This is open source, completely free. Raindrop is also, there's a free option that is, the only real limitation is if you're uploading things to it, like if you want to upload documents, EPUBs, PDFs, stuff like that to this to read, you are limited by 100 megabytes per month under the free account. It's $30 a year otherwise, and that gives you like 100 gigabytes a month. And once you like stop subscribing, yeah, all the stuff stays there. But Omnivore is Also, open source, privacy focused. They also have text to speech. I do believe they also have an option where like YouTube transcripts will show up in the app. The organization is just not there for me, is the main reason why I don't use it. But it is, if you don't need to save like extremely finite defined like websites and whatnot, so that way you can tell which book in your series that the information is supposed to be participating in, or which video in your YouTube and what like chapter or what like chapter and topic of your YouTube video. If you don't need all of that, then Omnivore would probably be the better one to check out. It does, like it said, it has the text to speech, it has potentially has transcripts, it saves things offline, which is a very big one to keep in mind. Other option would be, if you were using either of these apps, is you should be able to save them to Obsidian. Just pretty. You can save them to Obsidian, and Obsidian can run text to speech. And again, have I mentioned how awesome like the customizability and like the expansiveness of Obsidian is? Because it's dope. But yeah, so those are some save it later apps. And now I'm gonna get a drink because I've been talking for a hot minute. Now I want to talk about some apps to use in not OneDrive, OneNote. Not even gonna lie, it's surprising because I used to really use OneNote, but then they like deleted all of my shit, like back stuff up, guys. But yeah, they just cleared out all of the stuff that was on my OneNote and it's gone now. But I wanted to talk about OneNote because another thing, but I had completely forgotten people do use this for note taking. I forgot it existed. So I wanted to talk about alternatives to using OneNote, and surprise, surprise, if you don't use handwritten notes, highly recommend Obsidian. Oh, I closed my thingy. Where's Raindrop? Oh, did I just... Whoops. Obsidian, again, can very easy to customize, very easy to like organize. And there is also a plugin within Obsidian. It's called Excalidraw, where you can hand draw on it. I just have not used that at all, so I don't want to throw that out as a high recommendation. Like, if you want hand drawn notes, this is the one. This is the shit. I also like organizing images. Like, when I think of my notes, lots of images, and that would I can't imagine that not being a nightmare in Obsidian. Like, that's the one thing, is like images aren't just kind of put on top of the thing. Though, like, that image file, you personally are going to have to deal with where that image file is, and I don't like that. I don't want that in my life. And so I can't, like, thinking of how I take notes, particularly my book notes, this would not be it for that. But if, like, for, like, if you're using images, pretty pictures, stuff like that, this is not the one. But if, for this in particular, if you just need to, like, put some text down, phenomenal. If you, like, if you need text, if you are not handwriting, if it's just typed text, this is great. Again, you can also upload PDFs and stuff. You can't do a ton with them. At least I don't know. If you can, I don't know how to, like, to engage with PDFs, like highlighting, anything like that. But this is a great one for typed up notes. Pretty. My other option is, and this is the note-taking app that I use personally. I low-key want to do a full video. This would also be on my vlog channel because it's not particularly relevant to anything outside of this video here. Touch Notes is the app that I use. Why is this not showing? Show me the web one. This is the app that I use for note-taking, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm gonna show you, like, here's, like, borderless notes. Yeah. You can use layers. Yeah, that's super cool. Handwriting text to like, handwriting to text. Oh, like, you can scan pages. It's cool. Super cool. I don't know what clipboard is. I guess I should try and figure out what that is. But that's cool. That's super cool. I took screenshots of my personal note-taking app, so that way I can show off the things that I'm very obsessed with of this app. Okay, so here is a screenshot of my app. Diana Flowers, The Lord Beneath the Lupins is the next review that I'm gonna be doing. So you know I'm not lying to you. So in this app, over on the left hand here, we have the main like toolbar of your like actual tools. There are a couple different types of like writing tools, highlighter, your eraser, which there's like all of these things also have a lot of customizability. Over on the right is my favorites toolbar, and I didn't take a proper screenshot of this, but like first and foremost, a thing you don't see with the favorites toolbar of a lot of different like writing programs is that like I can save stickers and images in that toolbar, so that way I can be like, oh, I always use the fucking screaming guy, the screaming foaming at the mouth guy from Avatar. I use that a lot, so let's just put it in the sticker. Let's just put it in the sidebar so it's easy to access. This black girl biting at her nails, always use that. Let's just throw it over there. Yeah, like that's itself unique, but a thing that I again don't have I didn't take a good screenshot of, because why would I? Because that would have been great. That would have made sense. You can have multiple favorites bars, and that's not a thing in any other writing program I've ever tested. I've tested quite a few of them, and this is the reason why I wouldn't touch any other one, is because this is my reading journal toolbar. I have a separate favorites toolbar for when I'm editing a book. I have a separate favorites toolbar for when I am working in my planner. Like that's so good. That's so good. And I don't understand how we've only just gotten there, but like that is the reason why I will not change writing programs, is because I can have multiple different favorites toolbars and just cycle through them based on what I'm working on. And that's amazing. The other thing of note is it does have like a little sticker book. So like I can just upload all the stickers that I use into my little sticker book, so they're easy to access, and just like I have a roll credits little sticker for like when like if in Diana Flowers Lord Beneath the Lupins they said, oh, there's a Lord Beneath the Lupins, I could put the roll credits. I don't necessarily need that in my toolbar, because that's probably only gonna happen once per book, but it's better to have, I can pick it out of my sticker book as opposed to like digging through all of my downloaded image files to try and find it. Like Touch Notes is genuinely my favorite writing app, and it's not close. It's not close compared to any other like handwritten note-taking app. Not at all. Another thing that like Touch Notes has that a lot of them don't have, that was also a deal breaker for me, this little like magnifying glass here is like this box where it's a zoomed in box of what you'd be writing in, so you can like still see the full screen, but it shows like just a chunk of it really blown up so you can write better without having to like zoom in the whole page. That has been a big thing for me forever, and I'm obsessed with it. But I also want to highlight, when talking about these types of things, if the Apple version of the app is good, the Android one probably is not. So that's why that's not why I'm not recommending anything like Goodreads or Note Shelf, is because I have Note Shelf. It is nowhere near what the Apple version is. I've seen the reviews for Goodreads on Android, and it is not anywhere near as good as Goodreads on Apple. And so I will not recommend those those apps as someone who like can't use a good version of them, you know? Okay, enough gushing over my favorite note-taking app. The very last thing we're going to talk about is we're going to have a discussion about alternatives to Windows. Now, as we said before, there isn't really a great alternative to Windows, because the first thing you think of is going to be Apple, because those are the two big computer operating system magnets, giants. But again, Apple also like will fire employees for wearing keffiyehs. They'll also like silence employees for speaking about the topic, and they are known for using lots of materials that are sourced out of the horrible conditions in the Congo. So that's also, there's another boycott, like an entirely other boycott of Apple products because of that. And that leaves, from my understanding, pretty much the only third option is Linux. The issue with trying to recommend Linux as the third option is you need technical understanding to be able to keep up with Linux. It's just not super easy. I do believe they're starting to get more of a user-friendly, beginner-friendly like atmosphere going, but at present Linux is just pretty technical, and that is going to be a very hard ask of a lot of people. It is one of those, like, it is kind of in those places where we start to come across there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, because if you need a computer, if you need a new computer, it's not something easy you can just hop over into the atmosphere that is Linux. And because so much of Linux just does not work without a little bit of coding knowledge, and that, again, a lot to ask of someone, especially if like that would be their only option for being able to use a computer, is one that they don't understand at all. So my recommendation is kind of to get ready for it more, is to like take this time, if while you don't need and don't have to like jump ship, if you like already have a computer, already have something, or like already have access to something, to your own device, in order to like kind of take those steps to being able to eventually move over to something like Linux that is apart from a lot of these other like horrible companies, is to start little by little getting some like technical knowledge of things. I think, and granted, I'm not a tech expert by any means, I think Obsidian is a really interesting first step because it is extremely user friendly with a little bit of the technical built in. Like, you do most of the plugins, you really don't need any amount of technical expertise. But to use something like the data view, which kind of is able to like connect all of your notes together, that does require just a little bit of technical knowledge. And some plugins might need you to actually be able to like get into the code, stuff like that. If something's going wrong with the plugin, you might need to get into the code enough to show the person who can actually fix it what's going on. And then maybe even like if you start to learn about how to use these types of things, you can try and make your own plugin. Again, back up your stuff before you implement it, but you can start trying to make your own and see, and that would be another like way to like dip your toe into learning some technical information. But I think it might be an interesting first step, just because it is already such a user-friendly environment that is adjacent to a heavily technical environment, that it could be a very easy way to ease a lot of people in. The other concept to keep in mind about is open source. Open source means, and this is the word I've been throwing out a lot, is open source is source code that is made freely available for possible modification and redistribution. Products include permission to use the source code, design, documents, or content of the product. The open source model is a decentralized software development model that encourages open collaboration. The reason why I've been recommending a lot of open source stuff is because it a lot of it is stuff you could interact with. The technical side, some of it you might actually have to be able to download and run the programs that can actually do like fucking how do I explain this? Because I'm like, you might actually have to, like, imagine, like, you know how a carpenter has a workshop? You might have to download a digital workshop kind of thing that in order to be able to, like, actually run and get going a lot of these programs. And you'll run into that a lot if you start looking into open source programs. A lot of open source programs, especially if you get them off of a place called GitHub, a lot of those might need you to actually have that digital workspace to be able to get them up and running. And that is technical knowledge. Some of them don't, not all of them do. I don't know what the percentage is. I'm not going to throw a number out, but I've come across a lot that do, a lot that don't. I've come across some that require you to be able to get into the command and coding of your actual computer. I've gotten some that like you can download like it's any other app. And that is also a place to, the reason I would say it's probably more daunting is because you don't know which one's which, and so that's going to be a lot of trying to open something, finding out that you need Python in order to run it, realizing you have no idea how to use Python and you're too tired to figure it out, so you're just going to look up a different alternative. And it's great. It takes time and energy, but it is a part of that, trying to learn the skills so that way companies can't take advantage of the fact that you don't have them. And that is the last thing I wanted to talk about with regards to alternatives we can use to Microsoft. So yeah, I listed down below in the description the things. I believe it's all of them, unless I went on a tangent, because I did go on a couple tangents, but I listed down below a lot of the things that I have talked about today, so you can check them out and start like slowly replacing the horrible companies in your life. Oh, everything's terrible, but hopefully we can try and make it better. That's the goal. That is the goal. But that is all from me today. Thank y'all so much for watching, and until next time, Valedictions, friends.